My 2 cents on the YouTube. I'm your host, Keith 2 Cent Sanders, and I am absolutely grateful and super happy to be here. I have a lot of fun with Juan. I bust his chops, but he does owe me 10 push-ups. If you're over here on the YouTube, come on over. We're going to be talking about a lot of really awesome stuff. Total sarcasm. Everything sucks, but everything's great, and we're going to make it sound great. Here's my 2 cents on the YouTube. Take a look for that icon right there and come on over. Let's start off with this one. It's something I've actually been wanting to talk about for quite some time, and it's censorship. And you can see everywhere you look, platforms and people calling for censorship. And you say, well, it's a private company, they could do what they want. Then you have the debate of it's the new digital town square, which is how Elon Musk looks at it and the like. You have that portion of censorship, and then you have self-censorship. And this is something that I personally have fallen into multiple times. If you guys are just joining me over here, I'd love to see you on YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. Look for that icon right there. Juan will put your name across the bottom if you say hello to me, and we'll have a conversation. Self-censorship. So the story goes, earlier this week, my producer, I am cool enough to have a producer, Juan, he gets a hold of me and he says, hey, listen, do you want to come on another show? Of course I want to come on another show. I love doing this. It's super fun. You guys love seeing me. You want to hear what I have to say. I want to give you more of me. See, I got Skylar Durham jumping on here saying howdy. I'm not saying howdy to you because you're not over here. Here's my 2 cents on the YouTube. Look for the icon right there. So Juan says, Celia is always here. Celia is the best. What is up, Celia? Juan says, I want you to come on the show. We got somebody from England and he wants to talk with us about some things concerning Ukraine. And I said, I'm going to respectfully have to pass. And here's why. It's no secret. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I possess a security clearance. And as such, there's certain things that I'm not going to touch. Okay, that's actually pretty smart, right? I don't want to be associated with people that are even on the fringe of being harmful. I'm going to use my First Amendment right, and I'm going to do it intelligently. I'm not ever going to be a part of something that could be even slightly misconstrued as inciting anything. I always advocate against anything having to do with violence. You can take a look at anything on my social media. Anytime I get a comment about somebody saying so-and-so needs this violence or so-and-so needs that violence, I always answer, if I see it, with no violence. I'm never going to be a part of violence. I'm never going to advocate for violence. I am going to advocate for people to peacefully be heard. But the censorship that I'm talking about is Juan said, hey, how about you come on and you talk about this? We're talking about Ukraine. I want to talk about Ukraine. If you guys follow me at all, the most I'm willing to talk about is when I say, isn't it kind of weird that we don't get any video footage? Every time there's a skirmish in Israel between them and Palestine, you get nonstop wall-to-wall coverage. You actually got some coverage, and we were talking about this over here on TikTok before we actually started on YouTube. Here's my 2 cents on YouTube. Come on over. I haven't seen anybody other than Biden when he went for his BS video op where they played the fake sirens, the air sirens when he was there, which it was so stupid. They haven't even bothered to try to play that clip again. That was definitely to try to make him look like a wartime president. It was so absurd and stupid. They're not even going to try to show it. But other than that, all I can really think of, and let me know if you know anything over here, was Don Lemon wearing a Mitch helmet, cockeyed to the side, looking like an idiot, standing there when the war was kicking off. I haven't seen anybody since. That's the most I'm willing to talk about. Why is it we don't see anything? But back to this and the self-censoring, I had to say, listen, under a different administration, I'd be happy to have this conversation. I would be happy to listen to somebody who has something to say. I can disagree with them. I can then say, I hear what you're saying. I need to verify this. I need some other sources. I am not saying what you're saying is true. I'm not saying what you're saying is not true. You had something to say. Everybody gets the opportunity to say what they want to say and let the truth and reality prevail. The only answer for bad speech is more speech. So I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. I talk to people on the left, and of course, everything they have to say is absolutely stupid. I kid, but I'm not kidding at all. I am willing to talk with anybody. However, in a situation like this and on my platforms, I regularly self-censor, and I absolutely hate that. On my Twitter, I want to comment about certain topics all the time. And I find myself writing it and I get 2 or 3 sentences in and I'm making my corrections because the autocorrect on your phone is just ridiculous. And if you don't pay attention, you end up with Kofifi. And I'm not about to fall into that trap. Not again. I might have been in charge of Trump's Twitter when that happened. I might have been, but probably not, but I might have been. And so I'll be in there and I'll be writing these and I'll say, you know what? I'm out. And I don't even want to tell you what the topics are here, but just think of the most sensitive cultural issues right now. I don't want to talk about them because I don't want the backlash of somebody misconstruing what I had to say. I don't want the backlash of people making accusations and twisting my words, and all of a sudden, I'm just the worst person that you could possibly think of. I don't want to do that. I have a voice on some of these things, some of the hot topic issues that are going on today. I want to say something. I want more accountability of what is happening in Ukraine because our money goes there. I want accountability of the money that my town spends on roads. I want accountability of how my state is staffing its state police and how they're staffing for elections because it's paid for with my money. If my money is involved, I get to say, let me see the books. Where did it go? Is that where you said it was going to go? What are we doing now? What are we doing going forward? I want to be able to ask these questions, but I'm self censoring left and right. It used to be on TikTok that I would self censor because they're just so ridiculous with their community standards that I would just have my stuff taken down, kind of figured out what they didn't want me to talk about. If you said the word COVID at all, you're just going to get taken down. If you said anything about the vaccines, you were going to get taken down. So we started saying the jab and we started doing all these stupid things. And at first it was kind of funny, tongue in cheek. Hey, we'll get one past you. But in reality, it was self-censoring. And then I would just go so far as to not even mention it. And then, of course, on YouTube, there's topics I don't want to talk about. And like I said, unfortunately, this person had something to say. Doesn't mean I agree with them. Doesn't mean I don't. But we live in a day and age that if you quote, and I won't air quote, if you platform someone, then you're somehow encouraging it. Case in point, CNN is so absolutely desperate for ratings, they're actually going to put Donald J. Trump on for a town hall. And of course, Donald J. Trump is always willing to get in front of a camera, especially on CNN, because he's more than willing to trade barbs because he's actually not going to look any worse coming out of it. He knows they're going to come at him with fake news. He knows they're going to have him with the gotcha questions. He's going to plow right through it. He's going to call them out for their BS. But the point I'm making here is normally you have The View and Joy Behar and Rachel Maddow saying you cannot platform this. You cannot platform this because if you platform it, you are thereby condoning it. You are therefore agreeing with it. You are therefore pushing it. And it's unfortunate that I find myself in that same position. I am by no means mainstream media. I'm not Tucker Carlson. I don't even like saying to compare myself. The point I'm trying to make is I'm a guy in my spare bedroom. I set up a nice setup here. I got one fine, upstanding American patriot starting a mega media conglomerate behind the scenes. I want to be a part of it from a conservative point of view. And I'm self-censoring because I do have a personal life. And that is a really crappy place to be. All said and done, that is a really crappy place to be. I can't stand it, but I also can't find myself pushing it. I regularly get right up against the wall and I go, no, and I delete it. Do you find yourself doing the same thing? Do you? I would love to know. If you're over here, come on over to YouTube and let me know. Are you doing the same thing? Search for Here's My 2 Cents on YouTube. Look for that icon right there and come on over. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. I really have. And it's really been gnawing at me. And it sucks. We absolutely pride ourselves in this country on freedom of speech, freedom of association, which is kind of where I'm going with this. Just because I went to talk to somebody who may or may not have some crackpot idea about topic X doesn't mean I agree with it. This person had something to say. Oh, okay, let me hear what you got to say. I agree with you. I don't agree with you. I haven't heard anything about that. I need to do some research on that. You're a person, a human being who's got something to say. Go ahead, say your thing. I am an absolute purist when it comes to the First Amendment. I mean, we all saw what happened under COVID. If you even said or asked the question, does the shot, leave that out there, Juan, does the shot stop the spread? That would get you taken down. We got Christina saying, good day, sir, from West Virginia. Super awesome. Glad you're here. I lived in Western Virginia in the Shenandoah Valley. Beautiful over there. Absolutely love it. Celia says, sadly, yes. I'm going to guess that's in terms of self-censoring. And that absolutely sucks that we're living in that right now. That's a reality for a lot of folks. And it's upsetting. We should be able to say the dumbest thing that we possibly could think of. Because the joke happened during COVID where we would say, what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? About 6 months. And of course, now we all know that the shot didn't stop the spread. We know that the masks didn't do anything to stop the spread. We know that masking children didn't do anything. We know that there's actual detrimental, generational detriment to the youth. And a lot of us were screaming at the time, myself included. We know that the unions were running over the CDC, but now through gaslighting, Randy Weingarten gets to go on TV and say, well, it was the Trump administration. We just went off of what they said. No, you fought against the Trump administration. And when the Biden administration came in, you were advising the CDC to tell the teachers to tell the schools to stay closed. But now revisionist history, just like Justin Trudeau to the north, saying that he never mandated anybody to get the shot. But of course, there's video after video of all of this. So these folks can lie and say whatever they want. They can gaslight, true sense of the word gaslight, because that word is often overused. They can gaslight like hell, but they're from the left, they're the liberals, and they can shut down other people's freedom of speech. But if we have something to say that they disagree with, they get to say that it's going to get people killed. So if I said, I asked the question, does the shot stop the spread? You'd be shut down in a heartbeat. You would absolutely be shut down in a heartbeat. This video would have got taken down. If this was March of 22 even, March of 21 for sure, but March of 22, if you were saying, does the shot stop the spread, you would still get your stuff taken down. And then people find themselves self-censoring. And that's a horrible place to be. And I absolutely hate it. I've been wanting to get that off my chest for a long time. If you guys are still over here, come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents on YouTube. I would love to see you over there. Let me know what's going on, where you're at, and big things that you want to talk about. All right, hard pivot here. Kind of a hard pivot. We talked about it a little bit. Let us talk a little bit more about Ukraine. You always hear me complaining. I just did it a minute ago. Where's the video? I'm told they're pushing back the Russians. They're absolutely putting it to them. And the next week is they're losing and they need billions more and they need F-16s and Bradleys and M1A1 Abrams. Give it to them. Oh, they're doing so great. They're doing so. Where's the video? Where are the reporters? Go over there. Show me something. We're spending a lot of money over there. Can't get any video of that. But I got HD video of a UAV flying over the Kremlin and exploding. I got that video. I don't know what that means because I don't know anything that's going on. Nobody knows anything that's going on. If you don't know anything that's going on, but you want to know, come on over to YouTube. Here's my 2 cents. Take a look for that icon right there and come on over. We can't get any video. We can't even ask the question, what's going on? We can't say, where's the money going? I'm censoring myself and saying, I don't even want to talk to a guy about it live on air because if maybe he's a crackpot. I don't know. Maybe he's lying. I don't know. But he's got something to say. Maybe I can ask some questions and maybe I can push back. But we can't see anything. We don't know what's going on. We don't have a clue, but it's still going. And now we got footage of a UAV. I won't say drone. I hate that term. Of a UAV exploding over the Kremlin. I get video of that, but I don't get video of anything else. Nobody has a clue what's going on. But let's just keep sending them money, and that'll be endless. Nobody has a clue what's going on. I love being in that position. Do you like being in that position? I love being in that position. I can't stand it. And it weighs on folks. It weighs on me from time to time. I'm self-censoring. I don't want to talk about some stuff. Everything's going to hell in a handbasket. If you bring it up, you're a traitor. You're committing treason. Putin lover. You're causing hysteria. You're spreading misinformation and disinformation. We all learned that the term misinformation and disinformation to the left is things I don't like. Things I don't want you to say is actually what misinformation and disinformation truly is. We know that now, right? Like we know that nobody used that term misinformation and disinformation 3-4 years ago. Before COVID, nobody knew what that was. But now we've had COVID. Now we have this war in Ukraine. You can't ask any questions about that. You get people like the Honorable Adam Kinzinger who will jump all over you and say that you're a Putin lover like he does to Tucker Carlson just for asking the question, where's the money going? Did the money really need to go there? God forbid we ask these questions. God forbid I get any video. I know I'm harping on it, but can we get something? What's happening? Why doesn't the media want to know? Speaking of why doesn't the media want to know, amazing segue. Why doesn't the media want to know what's coming out of Discovery in Hunter Biden's child support case? I am absolutely loving that small local family court judge might actually be the reason that we get to see where the money came from, where the money went. You're going to find it was funneled through this family member and that family member and this shell company and that shell company, and it ended up in the pockets of all the Bidens. And that's how they laundered it, and that's how they all got all this money. And this guy's been playing America for decades on decades on decades, using his brother, using his son. I think there was a niece involved. Everybody's getting a piece of this. Everybody's got a business. Everybody's selling artwork. And I think it's amazing that you're going to get a local family court judge, and this might be the reason. Is anything going to happen? Of course not. We got Trump to go after, right? We got Trump to preach on something, or maybe some classified documents. Nope, that's got to go away because Biden's got the documents too. So let's indict him on a hush money payment. I'll go so far as to call it a hush money payment. It was a non-disclosure agreement between two adults. Don't talk about this topic. I'm not saying it happened. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm saying don't talk about it. Here's some money. Then you got his lawyer who lied about it, and he went to prison for it. Trump didn't lie about it. So let's keep going after this guy because he's Trump. Trump bad. Orange man bad. Am I right or am I right? Listen, if you're over here, I would much rather you come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents on the YouTube. Look for that icon right there. Come on over. They're corrupt as the day is long. We know it. I think in an effort to get people to feel like the Justice Department is being unbiased, to feel like the Justice Department is doing what they're supposed to, we might get some BS charges that come out of this. Maybe something having to do with him lying on that form for a weapon. He had lied on the form about any previous, I think, drug use, or maybe anything having to do with something criminal. Whatever it was, he lied. I think that's about the extent of it. I think there's going to be some sort of an agreement behind the scenes with this baby mama drama, and all that discovery stuff will eventually stop. I don't know why he's been dumb enough to not get an NDA, a hush money payment to this person. Hey, my dad's the president. We got plenty of money for the rest of our lives. Not to mention, I'm sitting on boards of energy companies that I don't know a damn thing about, getting $80,000 a month, or at least I used to. Whatever he didn't smoke or put up his nose, he should have some left over. Nothing's going to come from that. Nothing's going to come from that. And that, combined with the first topic of people living in what's supposed to be the freest society, where our First Amendment to the Constitution was to ensure freedom of speech. You have people saying, I can't talk about X, I can't talk about Y, I can't talk about Z, combined with watching people who are politically connected, who are liberals, who are Democrats, getting away with whatever they want, especially when it comes to financial corruption that is blatant in plain sight. The Clinton Foundation, it almost is cliche or just a joke at this point, a meme only, to say the Clinton Global Initiative was the most obvious out in public money laundering scheme you could ever possibly think of. When Hillary was the Secretary of State, her husband, the former president, was getting speaking engagement after speaking engagement for big dollars. And when she was a senator, the same thing. And when she's not in office, all of a sudden, those speaking gigs dry up. Yeah, they're legal. I came here, I gave you a service. But isn't it quite interesting how nobody wants that service after I'm no longer in office? It's disheartening, folks. We're supposed to be in the freest nation with the rule of law, equal justice under the law. And you have these families like the Bidens and the Clintons, and they're allowed to do anything and everything that's possibly illegal and corrupt. The media covers for them ad nauseum. They can't stop covering for them because then, God forbid, they'd be proven wrong because they've been promoting them the entire time. The media is going to be covering for them. And nobody's going to be pushing in any sort of meaningful way to hold any of them accountable. Not when you got the boogeyman Trump over there. And they had impeachment and then another impeachment and then these indictments, and then the Steele dossier and all these things that we know are true, and all the walls are closing in on him, and we're going to get the taxes, and we're going to find out that he's a stooge, and we're going to find out, and we know. We're going after this guy left and right. And it makes you wonder sometimes why the guy doesn't go, you know what? I'm going to take my billions. I'm going to go on that yacht with my amazing wife, my awesome kids. I don't want to see none of yous. Don't talk to me. Don't talk about me. You know what? Talk about me. I don't care, because I'm going to go swim like Scrooge McDuck in my giant vault of money. I'm done with yous. All of yous, as my mother would say. Listen, if you're over here, you got a few more minutes to come on over to the YouTube. Here's my 2 cents on the YouTube. Look for that icon right there. If you're here, you have to tap the screen or you have to share. The next time I look over here, if I don't see 10 shares, I'm going to cut this off. And I'm looking at you specifically, Dale. I don't know who Dale is, but he's here. He's catching my wrath. When you look at everything this guy's had to go through, and of course there's ego involved, and of course there's ambition involved, and in Trump's case, there's patriotism involved, and there's wanting to get this country to where it should be, to be energy independent, to, yes, be feared on the world stage and respected on the world stage, to be an economic powerhouse, to be energy independent. He wants all of those things, but the man, it just keeps being put through the ringer. He could easily just go have a conversation in the back room and be like, listen, just stop. I'll stop. You stop. I'm going to go swim in my billions. I'm going to hang out with my wife in these golden years that I got. I got a son coming up. I'm going to take care of him. I got my adult children I want to make sure they're taken care of. Just leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. He could do that, and he doesn't. More power to him. This really crossed my mind recently. More power to the guy. Of course, I'm a Trump supporter. I would love to see him in there. I think a lot of folks are giving me a hard time because I am looking towards the future, and I do think DeSantis is the future of the Republican Party. But it still needs to be said, the man's absolutely been put through the ringer, and he continues to absolutely plug along. Listen, I want to talk about a big one here. Another hard pivot. This economy. They're lying to you. They're always lying to you. The one thing they really want to stand on is these great job numbers. And they did the same game, the same song and dance under Obama. When you have folks who drop out of the labor force, got your six, sir, says Chad D, you are awesome, and you have a cute cat there. Obama played the same game. When folks fall out of the labor force, they no longer count towards unemployment. So you have a lower labor participation rate under Biden. You had a higher labor participation rate under Trump, and historically low unemployment and historically low interest rates. So you had a trifecta on the other side, which made our economy an absolute economic workhorse like we had never seen before. It was beautiful. You loved it. Energy independent, inflation at 2%, GDP over 4 several times. We weren't propped up on printed money. We were propped up on energy. We were propped up on actual manufacturing. The United States, Mexico, Canada agreement was a great one. Pulling us out of TPP was very good. You had an economy based on growth and production and innovation. And now we have an economy propped up on printed money. Inflation through the roof is being offset by rising wages because we printed a ton of money, which leads to inflation. So that's just circular. They lie to you and say the job numbers are great when the reality is the labor participation is low. You have this, it's not going to be the private industry of homeowners. You have this commercial real estate is teetering. And I'm not just talking about these banks that are going under. These banks that are going under because they were holding a lot in bonds. They're bonds that are made to be worth less because the interest rates have gone up so high. I'm not just talking about that. You have this commercial real estate bubble that's out there because folks aren't going back to work, because inner cities are losing employers and employees due to their high crime. I said this earlier on my TikTok over here. Politics aside, I'm legitimately getting worried about this economy. The gray hairs let you know. I was in the military, so I was insulated, but I had a family to take care of at the time, and I had friends that were losing money and friends that were losing jobs. And the amount in assets of the banks that have gone under, because now we have Pacific that's gone underneath and Republic, right? And we had the first one, Silicon Valley. By assets, more was lost than under the bank collapse in 2008. This is where we are. And we're just whistling along and patting ourselves on the back that we had a 5% raise in wages, but a 7% loss on top of a 9% loss. And it's a net loss overall. And that the tech industry has been laying off hundreds of thousands of jobs and nobody's talking about it. That new home sales are dipping like crazy. Car sales, of course, are dipping like crazy. Layoffs are happening. Interest rates are through the roof. The banks are collapsing. And I was talking about over here as well. Now we've set this precedent. These major banks like Silicon Valley, the federal government was to insure them up to $250,000 per depositor. But they said, you know what? It's not your fault that your bank mismanaged. So you're going to be made whole for your entire deposit, but only if you're big enough. Okay, now you set the precedent that these mid-sized banks and lower banks, people are going to pull their money out of that and send it to the big banks. Because if my little regional bank goes under, I'm only insured up to $250,000. And maybe my bank's going to go under and I have less than $250,000. I don't want my money in there. So now we've set this precedent to stick your money in the bigger banks, which is inadvertently probably going to continue to cause a run on the banks at the middle level bank and the lower banks. Because the government getting involved is always the answer. It's absolutely falling apart. And the gas prices are going up again. Biden's running out of oil in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try to bolster that. He can't get Saudi Arabia and OPEC Plus, which includes Russia, to turn more pumps on. He is closing down leases in Anwar, which Trump opened up, in other gulfs up in Alaska, in the Gulf of Mexico. These were producing leases, not prospect leases, not leases that have to go through all the red tape, which the Biden administration is just dragging on. He's shut down the pipeline, which of course it doesn't produce oil. It moves oil. It's about the prospect of the cost to move oil. He shut down fracking on federal land, even though he ran on a will not shut down fracking, period, because he needed to win Pennsylvania. But here he is, and he did it. The energy prices are going up. Their Band-Aids aren't working anymore. The debt ceiling is around the corner. Folks over here said, what do you think about the debt ceiling? Just raise it. Get rid of it. Who cares? Just spend the money. How much longer am I going to be here? I don't know. Spend the money. We're all going to be rich. Just spend money. Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. God forbid the Republicans say, let's cut some spending. God forbid they say, let's put a cap on the growth. 1% every year gives you an incentive to not have economic policies that are going to drive up inflation. God forbid. God forbid we audit where the money went. God forbid we go to 2022 numbers. God forbid we find a way to do more with what we got. God forbid you want to kill the veterans, you want to kill grandma, I want to kill everyone. The Republicans are evil. They're holding the economy hostage. You know what? At this point, just get rid of it. Who cares? Print the money. Print the money. Who cares? And I love it. There's I won't call, I think she means well. There's a big one over here on the TikTok. She gives the news, and you can see her bias from time to time. And she talks about how raising the debt ceiling is just to pay off the debts that we already have. No, it's not. When you raise the debt ceiling, they're always going to start paying for the next thing. It's this great old adage when the Air Force was making their bases, they'd get their money, and the first thing they would do is build the golf course, then they'd build the BX, then they'd build the dorms, and they'd go back to the government and say, I need money for a runway. And then they'd have to get the money for the runway. It's the same thing. You raise this debt ceiling, they're going to find something else to spend the money on. Vermont just outlawed propane stoves. I'm from Vermont. Which part of Vermont are you from? You hit me up on the TikTok on the other side. And I don't doubt it, they did. Plus, they have a lot of folks who burn wood and they burn actual oil in Vermont. Folks in Vermont don't have money. But anyway, we're inside of a minute. I think we did a pretty good job tonight. You know me. I'm the professional. I'm a consummate professional. We're going to get you out of here on time. If you're over here, I do not like you because you didn't give me any likes and you didn't give me any shares. But if you're over here on the YouTube, you are very, very awesome. Every Thursday night around 7:30 or so, depending on how many push-ups Juan is doing them right now. I'm watching the man. He's a man. Hey, look at this guy. What is a sprite young 59-year-old man? I don't know what he is, but he looks great. He's paying his debt. One. I don't know if any of those count. If we're going to give it to the man, I absolutely appreciate it. 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Right America Media. You can find us every week. Here's my 2 cents. If you guys are over here, I'm not happy with you, but I'll be back in a second. But with that, thanks for hanging out with me tonight, and have a good night.